What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 23 My Team career mode, and we're here for round number 8 of season 7 of our Jaguar Racing career, and it is time for the Monaco Grand Prix. This is the circuit. This is, well, I say the circuit, it's one of the circuits where I tend to always do well, and Lord knows we need it right now. Looking at this performance we've had over the course of the season, you can see we've had 3 DNFs. Those are all the 22nd places, and then we've had 1 win and another podium in Miami. We had the win in Australia, of course, and as a result we are currently struggling in the championship a fair amount. These 3 DNFs really bringing us down quite significantly, but yeah, I tend to do quite well in Monaco. It's one of my stronger tracks. I've won here on multiple occasions over the course of the season, over the course of the series I should say, and yeah, 33 points we currently sit behind George Russell. We need a good result here today so we can get back in contention with him and hopefully start closing up to the front of the field, get ahead of him before he starts putting himself out of sight in the championship. We get a little rivalry thing here. Unfortunately, Russell isn't a choice, so I pick Ocon instead because he is the next driver in the standings. He's in 2nd place. George Russell's teammate, of course, at Red Bull, where the two of them are currently leading the Constructors' Championship. We sit in 3rd. Last race in Imola, like I said, I had a DNF, but Charles Leclerc managed to come home to get the win for Jaguar Racing, so we did get a win as a team. It was our 2nd win this season after my win in Australia as well. But I mean, look, if I only get 1 win in 7 races, that's significantly worse than the position we were in last year, where I think I got back-to-back wins on multiple occasions by this point. I know I won in Imola, I won in China. I was just winning non-stop basically at that point last season. So yeah, to be here where we are right now, having only 1 win in 7 races, it's a much more competitive season this time around, but hopefully we'll be able to pick up our 2nd one here in Monaco this weekend, as we quite often do on other race weekends as well. But obviously we've got things to do before that. First up was of course practice. We had pretty good pace here, I would say, but I think we'll probably need to find a new level if we want to compete for pole and get the win. We were outside the top 14, but we didn't do a soft compound tyre run, so it's hard to say for certain where we would have been had we done a soft compound tyre run. It's actually Porsche that went fastest there, so I guess we'll see whether he can get a good result in qualifying or not, as we make our way into the qualifying session now as well. Like I said, the target here, it's got to be pole position realistically, but I'm sure that Charles Leclerc at his home race, he will want to do quite well as well. So yeah, we'll see what we can do as we make our way out on track now, and we are on a fresh set of soft compound tyres as per usual to kick off the qualifying session. At the moment, a few cars have already gone on their laps. We are going to be crossing the line in just a moment, and it is a 1:10.3, puts us P2. It's not terrible, but I do think we'll probably need a bit of improvement there if we want to take the fight to the people that we're going to be contending with over the course of the weekend. That would have been good enough for P10, but I decided to go for another lap, and we managed to find a bit of improvement here, about 6/10 worth of improvement. Not too bad at all, quite frankly. And as we come on the run to the line, it is a 109.7, and that is good enough to see us through to Q2 and P2. So yeah, we made it through, and hopefully we'll continue to put up that level of performance in Q2 as well. Charles Leclerc in P11, so hopefully he can find an extra step to make it through to Q3. Knocked out here Ocon in the Red Bull, P2 in the driver's standings, knocked out in Q1. Porsche, who was fastest in practice, knocked out as well, and then Stroll, De Vries, Perez and Zhou Guanyu. I'm not that surprised about Perez because he does it all the time at the moment. You know, I used to think that it was kind of surprising when he got knocked out in Q1, but he's becoming a bit of a Q1 knockout merchant recently, so yeah, no real surprises. Bank a lap as we enter into Q2 now. It's a 1:10.2 on a used set of soft compound tyres. Let's see what we can do on a fresh set in just a moment as we go around for our 2nd flying lap of the session. We would have been through, or actually no, we wouldn't have been through. You can see there we just got pipped out of the top 10 by George Russell, who has knocked us into 11th place. But fortunately we're improving by about 9/10 of a second off of our banker, which I think is a 109.3. Maybe, yeah, I think a 109.3 is roughly where that was. We'll see for certain in a second, but it sees us through in P1 anyway. Yeah, 109.3, 4/10 of a second faster than Sargent in P2. But Leclerc is out once again. His home race in qualifying, knocked out, P13. brutal. He joins Albon, Verstappen, Tsunoda, Lawson and Vesti in the drop zone. Meanwhile, Fittipaldi and Doohan making it into the top 10. So pretty good job from those guys. And yeah, we'll see what kind of performance those guys can put up here in Q3, the final qualifying session of the night. We do a banker lap as per usual on a used set of soft compound tyres, and now we're going to come on the run to the line. 1:10.3 is the time that we do here, and yeah, we're definitely going to need a bit of improvement on that if we want to contend for pole here today. As you can see, Lando Norris has gone fastest with a 1:09.5. We're currently up by 5/10, so we're going to need to find another 3/10 in the final sector if we want to beat Lando Norris. And as we come on the run into Raskas, you can see I've gone a little bit deep there, and that might have just cost me a run at pole position here, because you can see we're up by 7/10, but that I don't think is going to be enough to get us into pole position. It was a 1:09.6, so no, it won't be. It's not going to be pole position. It's only P2. So we get P2 in qualifying, but we can still definitely fight from there when we start the race tomorrow.
And with qualifying complete, let's review our top 3 today. Norris, Robinson and Dennis Hauger. Goodbye for now then, but we are really just getting started. Make sure you join us again for Lights Out tomorrow.
No doubt in my mind whatsoever that mistake into Raskas cost us big time today. And yeah, we're going to have to really try and work quite hard now to get Norris off the line if we still want to win. It's definitely still going to be possible, but I think things just got a lot harder with that mistake. So we will see whether we can beat Lando Norris to the win as we get into the Monaco Grand Prix.
A proper road race, and in the true meaning of the word. That's how Mr. Monaco, the late great Graham Hill, once described this iconic event. The cars we drive have come a long way in the intervening half-century, but we still race on those same public roads beside the Mediterranean. There is no victory more coveted than that of the Monaco Grand Prix. The astonishing Circuit de Monaco is, for all intents and purposes, virtually unchanged since its inaugural race back in 1929. The faster cars of today ensure the 19 corners past the casino and along the seafront remain as thrilling as ever. A 2.1-mile lap here takes us around an entire country, yet never more than a few inches away from the race-ending barriers. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, and Robinson completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Hauger, Russell, Sargent, Oscar Piastri, Doohan, Magnussen, Gasly, Fittipaldi, Albon, Verstappen, Leclerc, Tsunoda, Liam Lawson, Vesti, Ocon, Théo Pourchaire, Stroll, De Vries, Perez and Zhou Guanyu. And now it's time to head down to the track. Anthony Davidson is with us in the commentary box once again. The drivers are working so hard on these cars, and you've been part of that in all aspects, developing, testing and driving the car. Tell us about that hard work.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. They're two very different mindsets. In the old days, of course, they used to cover up to 15,000 kilometres of testing in a season, and that role would be more about working for the team, trying to help them improve the car and drive as systematically as possible, so that the data could be analysed in the most consistent way. When lining up on the grid for a race, however, a race driver's frame of mind is all about what they can get out of the situation on that day, and the car is the tool to help them achieve those goals.
I swear to God, I keep hearing these, opening cutscene voice lines I've never heard before, and they're just randomly cropping up in like Season 6, Season 7, and this was another instance of that where I don't ever remember seeing anything like that, so yeah, I mean, fair enough. Strategy-wise, we are going to be doing a medium-hard. I don't think a soft-medium is going to work for us. So, yeah, it would be medium-hard, starting on the mediums, and then switching onto the hards on lap 17 to hopefully cover off anyone starting on the softs, which includes both of the cars starting either side of me, Lando Norris and Dennis Hauger, both starting on those soft compound tyres, and that might make things a little bit harder for me to get ahead of Lando Norris off the start if I'm going to try and get ahead of him. We're going to need a really strong start now to be able to jump him, especially because it's not an easy track. You don't start super close to one another here either. So, yeah, this is not going to be straightforward by any stretch of the imagination. And this might not be the nailed-on victory that I thought it was going to be at the start of the weekend. I was pretty confident. One of my strongest tracks on the grid. This is a place where I'm always able to do well, but maybe not this time. Either way, we will see what we can do compared to Lando Norris as the lights come on and the lights go out, and we've had a good getaway compared to Lando Norris. That's exactly what I wanted to happen. We're going to go wheel to wheel into Sandavot. Who's going to win out in this battle? It's going to be me. We cover him off nice and aggressively, and Lando Norris has to fall down into P2 for now. But don't forget, these guys are on the soft compound of tyre. I know it's Monaco, and I know it's a difficult track to overtake at, but you would have to imagine that they're not just going to let me get away with this one absolutely for free, right? Surely these guys are going to have something that they're going to try and do to get themselves into a strong position. We will see whether they can put any pressure on us. But for now, we're looking pretty good. We've already gapped Lando Norris by, 6-7 tenths of a second as well. But to be fair, my driving around here, it wasn't amazing. I don't know why, but I wasn't feeling as comfortable around here as I felt in years gone by. Even though I'm using the setup that I won here with last season, for some reason it was feeling a bit different, and I was really sort of struggling to find the grip, and particularly to corner effectively in this car. I was really struggling with that. So yeah, actually Lando Norris on lap 1 managed to pretty much stay with me, and for all intents and purposes I was not particularly fast whatsoever, even compared to the medium compound runners. So we're going to have to work out how to extract the most out of these tyres nice and quickly, or this may not be the foregone conclusion that we think it might be. So yeah, we'll have to see how things unfold. But as we make our way into Rascasse on the end of lap 3, you can see that Lando Norris this whole time has stayed with me, and now that the DRS is enabled, maybe he'll be ready to put some pressure on me as we exit the final corner there. It wasn't the best of exits, and here comes Lando Norris up the inside into Sandavot. Is he going to make the move? I think he actually might have done, to be fair. More traction on the exit of the corner, and Lando Norris has made an overtake at the Monaco Grand Prix up into P1, and based on the pace that we've been showing, I don't know if we'll be able to stay with him and re-overtake him, so we may have just lost the lead here in Monaco. And you can see that the problem was far more drastic than that all of a sudden, because look at this, 6 seconds he's gapped me by as we make our way to the end of lap 6. We are now all the way down 7 seconds behind him, and we're coming under pressure from our former teammate Dennis Hauger. He's going up the inside at Sandavot, much like Norris did. We tried to sweep around the outside of him, but we almost ran out of road. We had to back out of it a little bit, and that's going to open the door for George Russell as well. So we're off the podium now. 3 laps ago, we were looking dead set to win this Grand Prix, and now we're looking like we're not even going to stand on the podium here. We're coming under pressure from Dennis Hauger's teammate. They are breaking away at pace, the cars in front, and you can see in large part it is due to the fact that my tyres are overheating by this much, 116 degrees at their peak temperature at the moment, and that's going to allow Logan Sargent to go for a move up the inside, but he left that one a little bit late, and this time we actually do manage to defend the position at least. But how long am I going to be able to hold Logan Sargent behind me before he eventually makes an overtake on me as well? How many positions am I going to lose? It's Monaco, for Christ's sake. This is the track that's known for being the track that you can't overtake at, and right now I've been overtaken 3 times, and I'm under risk of being overtaken for a 4th time. It's an absolute joke. It's ridiculous. I don't know why it's happening. This is the same setup that I was victorious here with last season. And I don't really understand why this is happening. I don't understand why the tyres are overheating so much on this setup compared to last year. Logan Sargent tried to look for a way around the outside into Sandavot, but to be honest with you, I'm not sure he's even going to need it, because he's got such better straight line speed on the exit of the corner. He goes for a daring overtake up the inside and makes the move. He's up into P4, we're down into P5, and at the rate we're going, not only are we not going to catch George Russell in the championship, we might not even score points. Things did slow down a little bit after this point for a little while, and we make our way into the pit lane on lap 17 from P5, where we were after Logan Sargent overtook us. But, we're not going to be pulling off any undercuts today. All we're doing is covering off any soft compound runners who are coming into the pit lane. So yeah, we're going to be coming in, strapping on a set of hard compound tyres to the end of the race, and hopefully this will allow us to at least find some level of performance. Maybe these tyres won't overheat quite as much as we exit the pit lane, and we will see what the case is. But you can see right now I've got Max Verstappen for company directly behind me, and as you'll find out in a moment, as we're just coming past the pit lane on lap 19, Jack Doohan exiting the pit lane there, so you can see that we have managed to make up a bit of a gap on him, but we haven't broken away from Max Verstappen, crucially, and that is because, as you're about to see, he is not boxing again. He has already pitted onto a set of medium compound tyres, and he will be the one putting the pressure on us now for the remainder of the race potentially. You can see this is Théo Pourchaire, the man who was fastest in free practice 1, and he is out of the race. That's Charles Leclerc just behind him in a bit of a predicament there as well. You can see it as home race. He's not going to be scoring points unless he can make a lot of overtakes. But here is the big DNF. It's George Russell from what I believe is P3 in the race. He was behind Russell. Behind Russell? He is Russell. He was behind Hauger and behind Norris as well. So that is going to promote Logan Sargent up onto the podium, and it will promote us up into P4 as well. So at least that's something we can take away from this, as long as we don't get overtaken by the cars behind. And as you're about to see, as we make our way towards the end of lap 31 here, right now Jack Doohan has managed to stay with us. He got ahead of Max Verstappen actually at some point, and he's managed to stay with us this whole time. But the gap out in front is just getting further and further apart at the moment. You can see there's a big gap between Dennis Hauger and Lando Norris out in front, and there's a massive gap between Dennis Hauger and his teammate Logan Sargent as well. 24 seconds between those two guys as well. So I am today the slowest car on the grid. I don't get it. I don't get why this is happening. But yeah, we just have no pace here, not at all. You know, I was one of the fastest drivers in qualifying, and in the race that pace has just completely disappeared. It's disintegrated. I don't know why, I don't know how, but yeah, we are nowhere. We are nothing and we are nowhere in this race compared to the top 3. Honestly, we're just lucky that this is Monaco that this has happened at, because if it had been anywhere else, we would have been turbo punished for it. We would have been punished to an unbelievable level, as we get a track limits warning there. Fortunately, that was only our second one of the whole race, so no penalties to be handed out on this occasion, as long as we don't cut the track again. And honestly, it's in my best interest not to, because I think a 3-second penalty would drop me down about 5 positions by the looks of things, with how close the field is right now. So yeah, no understanding whatsoever as to how this has happened. It was just the tyres just overheating. I guess maybe the track temperature was higher than it was last time we raced here, or something like that. But yeah, just really confusing, and I don't understand at all how it's happened. But we did manage to hold off Jack Doohan on the final lap at least, so we will be coming home across the line in P4. We'll get some kind of points reward for what was a very tricky race, but I mean, really, that should have been a lot more than it was. And yeah, I don't really have an explanation as to why it wasn't that way.
They've done it then. They've won here in Monaco with an emphatic performance, and a victory they can be proud of for years to come. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot. A well-earned victory for Mercedes.
Well, Lando Norris picks up a win, and maybe gets himself a little bit more involved in the championship fight than he's been in recent memory. And meanwhile, on the other side of the coin, Aston Martin, a double podium, P2 and P3 for Hauger and Sargent respectively. Not only are both of those drivers looking good to potentially get themselves involved in the Drivers' Championship fight, but all of a sudden, they're looking like they could be a shoo-in for the Constructors as well, which is not something I expected.
And after this round of the World Championship, here's how things look in the drivers' table. It was not the best weekend for our championship leader, and their advantage at the top has been reduced. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
I think for driver of the day, I'd probably pick Lando Norris. He lived up to every inch of his reputation today, and I think he'll be going home, quite rightly, a bit proud of himself.
It's time to check out the Constructors' standings. The lead at the top comes down after a strong weekend from the challenging pack. There is also a strong showing from the Mercedes team today as they make their way up the standings. Well, that certainly was an exciting weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for more exciting Formula One action very soon.
I tell you what, man, this championship is really starting to heat up all of a sudden now. Logan Sargent sits just 10 points behind George Russell. George Russell, the two-time world champion back when he was driving for Mercedes in Season 1 and 2. He picked up both of the first couple of world championships that we raced in. And Logan Sargent now sits just 10 points behind a man with that pedigree. Keep in mind, Logan Sargent had his first win in Formula 1 just a couple of races ago at his home race in Miami. But, yeah, he's up there. Dennis Hauger only a few points behind him. Esteban Ocon in the other Red Bull only a few points behind him. And then it's me. And I'm only 21 points off of George Russell. So this is a really tight championship fight after the first 8 races of the season. We are a third of the way through the season now. And I think that's a pretty good predictor of who the championship protagonists potentially are going to be this season. I'm feeling like it will be, you know, Russell and Ocon, Sargent and Hauger, myself getting involved there. Maybe, you know, some of the other people who might want to get involved as well, like Leclerc, or you know, at one point it was looking like Vesti could be involved. He's kind of fallen away in recent races, however, so we'll see if he can pick himself up a little bit going forward. You know, Norris now starting to maybe look like he could potentially be a threat. There's so many drivers that could be gunning for the World Championship this season, and a lot of them are just incredibly unexpected, quite frankly. I wouldn't have thought that Hauger and Sargent would have been two of the drivers that would have been contending for a World Championship at any point during this season. You know, I think about F1 22 by comparison. It was basically just like Leclerc, Norris, Russell, and once I signed Albon to my team in season 6 of F1 22, he was a bit of a contender for the championship as well. But that was basically it, you know. There was no sort of new drivers coming up through F2 getting themselves involved in the championship fight. Certainly none of like the back markers from that year's game either. You know, we didn't have I'm trying to think who it would have been in that scenario in F1 22. I think Latifi was still on the grid at that point, right? So, you know, he wasn't getting himself involved in the championship fight at any point. But now we find ourselves in the very entertaining position of there are so many drivers who you would never in real life expect to ever contend for a world championship contending for it. And that is immensely entertaining as far as I'm concerned, you know, and not something I really expected whatsoever. So I can only hope that this battle, as good as it is, continues for the remainder of the season. And hopefully, you know, goes down to the wire. I'm certainly going to get myself involved in the championship fight wherever I can. Maybe the DNFs that we've been having are a good thing, because maybe it's making us a bit more competitive. Because I think if we'd have scored the sort of 60-something points that I was deprived of in the races I did DNF in, maybe we would be, you know, sort of 40 points clear of George Russell at this stage and looking like we're just going to absolutely walk away with the championship again. Instead, we're in this position where things are actually looking a lot more competitive. So yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll just see how things unfold as the season goes on. The next race, I believe, is the Spanish Grand Prix. Obviously, I've had podiums there before. Don't remember if I've won there before. I know I've come close to it on a couple of occasions, but I'll certainly be trying for it now, especially after only getting P5 here. But either way, that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.